I know it's been a busy 24 hours already at this point. Let's start with Zambia, because that's been very key for KoBold's expansion. Zambia, second biggest copper producer on the continent, and KoBold is choosing to make it the home of your first mine. Considering all of the projects you're exploring, why Zambia?
Thank you for inviting me. It's exciting to be back in Cape Town at the mining in Indaba. And it's an exciting time to be in the space of critical minerals. So Zambia is fantastic. I also happen to be Zambian, happen to come from the mining industry, and it shows the value of places that haven't been fully explored, contrary to popular belief. So KoBold has been able to unlock value in the Mingomba deposit, which is the largest high-grade undeveloped copper project today, which will produce more than 300,000 tons of copper by the mid-2030s. We're really excited to be developing it, and we want to do that for our next discovery and the discoveries after that around the world.
Well, we mentioned the recent equity investment that you got. How much is it going to cost to actually expand this project there? How much are you really trying to invest in this specific one?
Well, we've moved towards our full mine design and build. We're still exploring on the asset and still drilling, but the build we estimate will cost us about $2 billion.
$2 billion.
That's right.
So you're putting a lot of investment then into this mine. Do you really think it's going to deliver the projections that you've actually estimated? What are your thoughts there?
Well, in the world of copper and any other critical minerals about grade, we're talking about more than 5% copper. Around the world, average copper grades are about 0.6% copper. We have an asset that's more than 10 times that. So that value is already delivered because we've done the work, and it's been enabled by our technology, being able to predict where we're drilling, being able to predict how we will mine the asset.
So talk about some of the partners then that are going to be on board with this. We mentioned some of the investment. I mean, you have the likes of Bill Gates, you have Andreessen Horowitz. I mean, a lot of big names that are coming in. Who are the partners that are going to be focused on this specific mine?
Well, this is why we're at Indaba. We're talking to different people, and in other parts of the world, we're talking to different people. Mingomba is co-owned between KoBold and the Zambian government through ZCCMIH, and we're in the early stages of looking at how we're going to engineer and design the mine. So the point of being here is to be able to network. Those will be able to build this asset out with us.
So you don't have a partner at this point?
No, we don't.
What are some of the discussions, though, at this point? It's been 24 hours here in mining Indaba. What are some of the people who are approaching you, and what are you looking for in a partner?
Well, it's all levels of discussion. So down to capacity to build, who has build experience. We're looking at different types of financing for the assets for the long term, right through when we get into production and commissioning.
So, I mean, talk about some of those partners then. Are they coming from the West? Are they Chinese? Are they, I mean, give us a little bit of insight if you could.
Open-minded. So some African partners. We're on the African continent. What's important is being able to spur African growth, doing business in Africa. So South Africa is obviously a home for lots of mine developers, most partners from the West. We look around the world, we're agnostic to where people come from.
So then, I mean, when it comes to financing, because you mentioned that is very important, we hear a lot about that and the importance of that when it comes to, I guess, the sustainability of some of these mines. What is the financing then looking like for you, and what are the partners that you're then looking for?
So, as I mentioned, we're looking at $2 billion. Right now, the company has raised another round, which will go into most of the exploration for all our copper assets, or rather, our critical mineral assets around the world. We have 60 projects on 4 continents.
Right.
So we need to look at the company as a whole and where we're prospecting and exploring. We know what Mingomba will need, and we have a couple of years to figure out how we're going to do the capital outlay on the asset.
How many years are you giving yourself to actually see this through?
We'd want to get into early production by the 2030s, and we're working closely with the Zambian government to enable that. We've already moved into our shaft sinking and engineering plans and designs for mid-2026.
And I wonder, how much is copper essential to the business? We were talking about tariffs and the trade tariffs really sort of having an effect on commodity prices. But is this going to be the bottom line for the business, or are you going in on other potential minerals that could help offset some of the volatility that we're seeing?
So we are focused on all the critical minerals, particularly that will be enabling future technologies. So copper, lithium, nickel, KoBold, those are quite essential. Mingomba happens to be a copper asset, but we're not limiting ourselves to only looking for a Mingomba. We want many, many more Mingombas, but we're also exploring for lithium around the world. We're looking in Namibia. We have a few licenses we acquired in southern Namibia, very early stage greenfield opportunities. We're looking in North America. We're looking in Australia. So we are not limited only to Zambia.
Where in North America are you looking in
Both Canada and the US.
Canada and the US.
Yes, that's right.
Do the current geopolitical tensions sanctions then potentially affect what those partnerships could look like?
No, I don't think so. I think the world realizes that we need these minerals to spur growth. The global north needs it for aging infrastructure. The global south needs it to industrialize. Africa needs it to industrialize with this fastest growing youth population. So the focus should be on that and not on the geopolitics.
Okay, so it's not going to affect the business. There's no concerns there, especially between US and Canada and potentially what that could look like?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we're in exploration. So at this point, we're not producing anything. What we need to do is find these assets. When we start finding and making more discoveries, then we can start talking about how it's supplied around the world. But the reality is we're calling them critical minerals for a reason. There is a risk of not being able to supply. We need to make more discoveries. And that's where KoBold uses its cutting edge technology with artificial intelligence. Industry hasn't done so well in the last 30 years. It takes 10 times the cost of failed projects to have one successful discovery. And we are leading by using technology to make discoveries much, much cheaper.